So there are levels to this. There are multiple levels to it. That's what I wanted to talk to you about. The levels of 109.
So people who come from Oakland got a different type of game. I know everybody in here understand. Right? But the thing about game is you have to refine it in order to be able to get to your highest level. Otherwise, you can be stuck by your environment, because the game that you get, if that's what made the environment and your environment ain't the highest level, then you don't have the game to get to the highest level. So we have to learn how to get game outside of our environment that they don't teach us. And so what I've been trying to do on my journey is elevate the environments that we live in by importing the right type of game that we need to play the game of life.
All right, guys, so there are levels to understanding what the heck I'm talking about, all right? Number one, okay, I'm talking about 109. So there are levels to this. Level one is it's my birthday. All right, hey, it's my birthday. Hey, it's my birthday. You know what that's like, right? 50 Cent, hey, go shorty, it's your birthday. You want to party like it's your birthday? All that kind of stuff. It's like when I see 109, it's like, hey, it's time to celebrate. That's one level. All right, that's level number one. But then after seeing 109 so many times, then it was like, wait a minute, why does this keep happening? Why do I keep seeing these numbers? Why do I keep checking my watch at exactly 109 or at 1009? And why do things happen to align where I get on a train and my train seat, my seat is in row 10 or row 9, and it's like, why does this keep happening? So much so that it just keeps reminding me, pay attention to these numbers, 109. All right, so I had years of experience of these things happening, right? By 2019, because it didn't happen every single day, it wasn't like apparent all the time. It was just something that stood out. It was an isolated incident for a number of years until 2019, when it just, it was a watershed moment, an epiphany. In 2019, I asked my colleague, I said, man, I keep seeing 109. He said, why don't you check Google, ask Google. And I was like, dang, I never thought of doing that. So I went and I asked Google, and Google told me it's an angel number. Excuse me. So that's the second level, right? The second interpretation is 109 is an angel number, which means that the angel numbers, each angel number has a specific calling or a specific message from your angel, and when you see it, you should figure out what message they are sending you if you're seeing that particular number, right? Because for instance, I could repetitively see 777, 666, it's the mark of the beast, right? Not that 444, that's a good one, all right? Or you could see 888, which would be good if you were in China. The Chinese, believe that the number 8 is very auspicious. So angel numbers have their interpretations, and that was the second level. It told me, pay attention to 109 because it's telling you that you have a spiritual calling and you need to address it. And so for pretty much like 10 years, basically 109 was calling me, right? So those are two levels. The third level, for me personally, I accepted the angel number, ideal, and that was cool. However, I needed more, because what I found is like every number is an angel number, and if every number is an angel number, then 109 is basically insignificant. I needed something more. I don't know how it happened, but I went to the supreme mathematics, put forth by the 5%ers, or the nation of gods and earths. And when I read their supreme mathematics and I looked at what 1 means and what 0 and what 9 means, then I was like, oh, they understand. They understand. This one is for me. I was like, yo, simpatico. The 5%ers understand what I'm talking about, because here it was. 1 means knowledge. 0 means knowledge plus cipher. And then 9 means born. And that born part, that number 9, born, because it's part of my birthday, I was like, yo, that is the answer I need. So I was all for the interpretation of numbers as put forth by the 5%ers. That's where I was at. That's the third level. That's level number 3. Okay? Because that's the third interpretation that I found. So pretty much when I learned that, I was all set. Right? I was like the 5%ers. And then I said, well, I must be a 5%er, because I'm leaning toward their interpretation, as if to say, you guys know what you're talking about. You know? But then, as I was doing more research, I saw 109. Okay, around, it was 2019. It was the same time when I had arrived at the conclusion, or I had leveled up. Okay, once I had leveled up, at some point I had learned of this website called 109 World. And then I was scratching my head like, why are they so fascinated with 109? 109, I know the connection that I have with 109 because it's my birthday, but then they have a whole website, a whole 501c3 corporation, a private, not-for-profit organization that's called 109 World. So then I did some research into them, and I sent them an email and I said, hey, why do you guys call yourselves 109 World? Can you explain that to me? Like, I know that 109 is my birthday, so that's why I've created my brand, my YouTube, Instagram, my blog site, and everything. I know why I created it, but why did you create it? Is your birthday, 109? Is it October 9th as well? Or so then they said no. They said, you see, 109 is an important number because of the mala beads. And I said, mala beads, what are those? And so, or the mala bead necklace, or the mala necklace. I said, what is that? So this is the fourth level of interpretation, where they said the mala beads it's a necklace with 109 beads. And the 109th bead is the guru bead, because it connects all of the 108 pieces. And those 108 beads, those pieces on the necklace, the 108 beads are significant because they're used for meditation and prayer. And then I said, well, 108, and they said 108 is a sacred number. And I said, really? And they said 109 isn't as significant as 108. It's 108. So I thought, wow, that's interesting. And then, what is this? That's the fourth. The mala beads is the fourth. So now we're getting into the fifth interpretation. The fifth interpretation is the celestial, the solar system, the astronomy, the astronomical interpretation. 108, there are 108 moons between the moon and the earth. 108 moons can fit between earth and the moon. The sun and earth, there are 108 suns that can fit between earth and the sun. Within the sun, 108 earths can fit within the sun. So that means from one end to the other. They're talking about the diameter of the sun from one end to the other, right? With a number like 108 that keeps repeating in astronomy, then the idea is as above, so below. What is important in the heavens is important on earth. And that's where we lead to one Nipsey Hussle. Because if you followed Nipsey's trajectory, if you followed his career, if you followed his life, then you would be able to see that miracles happen in his life. And you could see that among the people where he spread his message, this was, this was sacred. This was a miraculous. I mean, this guy drops out of high school, doesn't go to college, and he has an impact on the world. And everything about him is very miraculous. From the millions of dollars that he had invested in his own community, it was just, phenomenal. And for me to understand how he was successful, I had a moment, an epiphany in 2019 in the desert where I could see clearly who he was. And it wasn't just an average Angelino. He wasn't just an average gang member. No, he was a deity in human form. His name, Hermes, meant God will rise. So, but the connection between Nipsey and 108, he rode the 108 bus. The 108 bus travels down Slauson Avenue, and he rode that bus to take him to the Watts Towers, where he got his formal education in music production. And the curious thing about the Watts Towers is the Watts Towers are located 1 block away from 108th Street. So the brother was all connected to the number 108. Everything is hidden in plain sight. So for me to know that 108 is a sacred number, and it's a highly evolved number and important in the heavens, in space, as above, so below. 108 is that number in the heavens. It is the same way on earth. That's one conclusion that I've arrived at, but I'm not alone in that. There was some article I read, I forgot how to find it, but there was a learned man, a scholar, and he said, if you want the answer, just look for 108. And I said, wow, that's profound. And that, based upon the sacred nature of 108 in the heavens and also here on earth, he basically said 108 is the answer. And now let me impress you with this idea. Maybe this is the 6th or maybe the 7th. 7th is a highly spiritual, sacred number as well. 6th or 7th, level. Guatemala, you have the Tikal, the temple. One of the temples is 108 feet tall. In Ethiopia, they created stele, or towers, or obelisks. One of the obelisks is 108 feet tall. Stonehenge. Do some research, look into it. There's something about Stonehenge where 108 is a significant number that's correlated with the construction. Same thing with the pyramids of Egypt. Now, we're not talking 108 feet. The pyramids in Egypt are much taller, but there's like 108 degrees in some form or fashion, right? There's many levels to this, many levels to it. And it's about the interpretation. It's about it's about accessing different perspectives. It's about accessing different circles of knowledge, spheres, ciphers. It's about accessing those that knowledge, right? 19 keys. This brother, man, he talks about how we need to access those other spheres of knowledge, because in our environment, our environment, our immediate environment doesn't have the resources that we need to build what we need. We have to search for the knowledge that is readily available in other areas. For instance, the knowledge of 108, well, I had to search in, India, in the Hindu tradition, the Buddhist tradition. Now, if I'm not a Buddhist, if I'm not Hindu, then that interpretation is something that I would never have accessed, never have touched. Just like, that's not me, that's not who I am. But we've got to go outside of our own environment, outside of our own reality, to find those other resources. And 19 Keys spoke on that, so I was very impressed with that. So there are levels to this. There are multiple levels to it. That's what I wanted to talk to you about, the levels of 109. Peace and blessings.
So people who come from Oakland got a different type of game. I know everybody in here understand. Right? But the thing about game is you have to refine it in order to be able to get to your highest level. Otherwise, you can be stuck by your environment. Because the game that you get, if that's what made the environment and your environment ain't the highest level, then you don't have the game to get to the highest level. So we have to learn how to get game outside of our environment that they don't teach us. And so what I've been trying to do on my journey is elevate the environments that we live in by importing the right type of game that we need to play the game of life.